This exercise is from You're On, the Broadcast Presentation Handbook, and it's about identifying the key words and phrases in the text to broadcast. So that's what I call highlighting the meaning-laden words and phrases, to lift those words and phrases out of the text, those words and phrases that carry the story. An analogy might be that you've got a piece of text. It's a bit like going to a lecture. You haven't got any recording equipment. You're taking notes. You can't. It's too fast to take it down verbatim. What are the words and phrases, or the lumps of information that you write down that you need to retain, the meat, if you like, within the text? And of course, those words and phrases that you highlight almost always exclude, not always, but almost always exclude the little words, prepositions, articles, conjunctions, usually verbs as well. The ones that it does include are those words that have capital letters at the beginning of them, for instance, the proper names and places. So the important stuff. Now I'm going to illustrate this by showing you what I mean. I've got a little bit of text here. It's quite tricky as well. It's got two long sentences in it. Of course, you know, one could rewrite them, but of course sometimes you get some text which you may have written, but it's been modified by editors, and you have to stick with what you've got. You might not be completely happy with it. This exercise will still identify what's important in that text and get it across. It'll get the story across to you. So I'm going to give you a piece of copy. It's a news story, and show you what I mean vocally, if you like. So here's the copy. The United Nations has said its targets for reducing poverty, hunger and illness across the world will not be achieved without more effort from governments in both rich and poor countries. The UN said its World Development Report showed that the only one of its Millennium Goals likely to be met was halving global poverty, and that would be entirely due to the progress of China. So there is the text. I made it a little bit flat. I couldn't help actually highlighting some words and phrases a little bit, but you'll see now the difference with what I'm going to do now. And of course, it isn't just a question of stress or punch, if you like, emphasis. I can also use inflection. I can use variation of pace, moving quicker over that which doesn't matter so much to slow down over that which does. So you'll see what I mean when I read it again now, highlighting those meaning-laden words and phrases. The United Nations has said its targets for reducing poverty, hunger and illness across the world will not be achieved without more effort from governments in both rich and poor countries. The UN said its World Development Report showed that the only one of its Millennium Goals likely to be met was halving global poverty, and that would be entirely due to the progress of China. So you see what I mean? I'm picking out those words and phrases. I'm using inflection. I'm using variation of pace as well. Now, it's contentious that maybe I should have come down on met. I don't like it because it's a verb. You know, it showed that the only one of its Millennium Goals likely to be met was halving global poverty. Well, I like halving global poverty. That's the money shot, if you like. That's more important than met. You do hear this, though. I have a lot of trainees who are newsreaders, and sometimes they stress the wrong words. Sometimes it's because they've been told to make it a little bit more urgent, to beef it up, make it a bit more sexy, or that they realize that they've read a sentence and they haven't stressed anything, so they come down on a word willy-nilly. Probably the last one before the last word in a sentence is a favorite one, and it's wrong because it doesn't serve the story. It maybe they think it's serving them, but it doesn't work really. Listen to this. This is wrong. The United Nations has said its targets for reducing poverty, hunger and illness across the world will not be achieved without more effort from governments in both rich and poor countries. So I'm stressing all those, conjunctions, prepositions. It doesn't work. It doesn't, it sort of works in a way, but it's wrong. It doesn't serve the story. So stressing and emphasizing and highlighting the meaning-laden words and phrases. You find that tip and exercise is from You're On, the Broadcast Presentation Handbook.